Hey everyone, what is going on? I'm the Savage Coder, and this is episode 6. Today we're going to be talking about methods, so let's jump right in and set the stage. Methods, also called functions, are ways to put code together into a nice little place where you can reuse them. Usually you'll put lines of code together that accomplish a common task. For instance, let's say you have a key or a button in your car that starts your car. When you press that button, it's going to call a method inside the brains of your computer. That method knows how to start the car. You don't need to know what the code does in order to use it, but it's still there, and you can call that method by pressing a button. Sometimes you can also pass information to a method. Let me give you an example. If we take a look at this YouTube video, at the bottom, there's this little handle that we can drag around the timeline. This is known as a scrubber. We can scrub forward or backward in time. When we scrub to a certain time and we let go of the scrubber, it actually will call a method. If you notice, it's telling us what time it'll scrub to. I imagine that every video on YouTube has some ID that uniquely identifies it. Behind the scenes, we don't know what those IDs are necessarily. But when we let go of this scrubber control, it'll send that ID and the time that we want to scrub to a method, let's call it play. And so if we pass the time and the ID to the play method, it knows how to advance the video to that time and how to start playing it. We don't have to know what it does. We don't have to know how it works. Only YouTube does, so they know how to play the video when you let go of the scrubber. Here, let me show you. What are you doing here? I don't know. A second ago I was shooting a video and now here I am. No idea. Okay, well, what were you doing exactly before this happened? Yeah, so I was shooting a video about methods, and I was showing this viewer right here how methods work using the scrubber as an example, right? So I moved the scrubber forward in time. Wait, you didn't actually move the scrubber while shooting a video. You do know better than that. Why? What's the big deal? I just use it as an example. Okay, I know what happened. All right, so you're shooting a video. You move the scrubber forward in time. You moved it to my time. Later, when we publish this video, this viewer watches it. Will you stop that? This viewer watched it, and that makes it real. And here you are in my time. So the question becomes, how do I get back? I don't really think you have to do anything. When the time you scrub to becomes the time now, then you become me and you just won't be here. What happens if that viewer turns off the video? All right, in this example, we're going to take a look at a fictitious site called Savage Sell, where you can buy and sell your used items. In order to show the list of items on the screen on the website, we're going to call a method called getItems. It's going to return the list of items to the site so it can be displayed. GetItems, in this case, is represented by the box on the right-hand side. We don't have to know what's in the box to use GetItems. We just have to know that it's going to return us a list of items. So when we call getItems, it's going to return a list of results to the website. We can reuse that code in other places on the website if we need to show a list of items there as well. That's why a method is convenient. We wouldn't have to rewrite the same code over and over. But what if we needed a list of only bikes? Well, getItems can also take a category. In this case, we're going to pass get items the word bikes, and this time it's going to return us a list of results with only bikes. So let's jump into the actual method code here below the dashed line. Don't worry about the word private here. We're going to cover scopes in the next episode, and I don't want you to be concerned with that now. It just controls who can see our method. Let's jump to the end of the line where we're naming our method, in this case get items, because it seems like a good name for a method that returns a list of items. Inside our curly braces will be the code that runs when we call get items. These comments represent code that would be written to go and get items out of a database. When it's done, it's going to return the items. Well, is that an array? Is that a string? What is our return data type from get items? That's this return type section right here. In this case, the method getItems is going to return a list object, which is a generic type. All that means is we can tell the list what data type it holds. Think of it as an array, but it has a restriction on it that it can only hold whatever data type we put inside the greater than, less than. So in this case, it's going to return a list of items that are just strings. To call this method, we just call getItems. Remember that getItems is going to return a list of string. The resulting list of string from getItems will get stored in this items variable. So I've defined the variable on the line above it, var items equals new list of string. We use the open and close parens with the new keyword to create an object type. We'll go more into objects in future episodes. What if we wanted to call getItems, but we wanted to pass in a category? It would look like this. Here I'm passing in the string literal bikes, and I've told getItems that the users are going to pass in a category, and it's going to be a string. So we'll be able to use our category variable inside our method. In this case, now the code is here to get items, but I'm going to filter it by whatever the category variable is. In this case, the word bikes is what's going to be held inside the category variable. Let's see it in action. I'm going to quickly set up a new console app. First, let's create our method. Private list of string get items. We're going to cover scopes and namespaces in the next episode. For now, in order to use the list, we need to include a using statement at the top, which is system.collections.generic. Don't worry about the red squiggly line under getItems. It's just saying, hey, you said you were going to return a list of string out of this, and there's no code in the method body doing that. So that'll take care of itself. I'm going to simulate some database access that brings back a list of items. I'm going to create a variable called itemList that is a new list of string. Now I'm just going to paste in some code that I wrote already that adds some strings to our item list. Unlike an array, we can add as many items as we want, and we don't have to know how many are in it initially. Now that we have our list, all we need to do is return it. We do that with a return statement. So I'll return the item list. Since item list is a list of string and getItems returns a list of string, I'm able to return this without any errors. So now to see this list, we're going to have to call getItems and then loop through it. So in our main method that runs when the program starts, create a variable called items. And I initialized it to null, meaning there's nothing there. It's an empty variable that can hold a list of strings, but right now it holds nothing, and that's what null is. The reason I don't create a new list of string up here is because I don't want to create a new empty one and then call getItems and replace it with another new one that's created in the method. Next, we'll assign our items variable to getItems. The reason that we have our red underline here is because the main method is static. Static methods can only call other static methods unless you create object instances, which we're not going to get into in this video. So in our case, to keep things simple, let's just add the word static before the list of string, and that tells get items that it is also static. I'll go more into static later. Don't worry about static now. We're going to cover that in the future. So now we're able to call get items. We've got the items in the list that get items gave us, and we'll just use a for each to go through each var item in the items. You can watch the video on for each card, and we also cover those in the full loops video. Other card. Now we're just going to do a console.writeLine, and we're going to print out the item. To make it a little bit cleaner, let's add some interpolation. And we'll just put item and then a colon and a space and then the actual item string. So you can see all the items were returned back. And this would be the basic concept of how apps and websites get lists of things and return them to the user interface. And as we go along, we will get to that. All right, what about categories? So I'm going to add a category variable there. Now get items is complaining because it says, well, get items, the method requires a string. And just to show you, if I can spell category. So we're going to make the category bike, and then we'll look for any of these that have the word bike in them. So I can put my category, which has the string bike in it. That's just a regular string variable. The rest of our code's not going to change because items is going to give us back just a list of bike now. So we just would expect the output to only contain bikes. Okay, now all we have to do is filter out our list of items. And while there is a really simple way to do this, the syntax is very confusing for new programmers. So we're going to do it the manual way now, and I'll show you in a future episode how to do this the fast way. So we're just going to create a new list, and we're going to call this our filtered list. And it'll hold just the filtered items. And then we'll loop through our list of items for each. And we'll just put an if statement in saying if item dot contains the word bike, then we're going to add it filtered list dot add item. So it's going to loop through everything in the list, and if that individual item has the word bike in it, then it'll add it to the filtered list, and then we can just return our filtered list. And when we run it, we get red, pink, and blue bike only, even though there were other things in the list. All right, everyone, that is methods in a nutshell. Methods are used all over programming, and methods will often call other methods. And we're slowly getting to a point where I'm able to start to show you some real application logic. I'll put out a video short on how to do this the easy way. And until then, practice, practice, practice. And as always, I'll see you online.